We're going to look at some hacking concepts. And what it is the Storm device, the way you connect it, there's multiple ways that are connected as you see in the slide. So we're going to look at some tips and best practices for how to use that Storm device. So we can use a virtual bridge. That is, we can connect your Storm device to your laptop machine, run your virtual software, create a switch and bridge it to your Storm device. And we're going to talk about how to do that. You can isolate the Storm. With the bridge, use wireless to wired routing. You have wireless on the Storm, you have an Ethernet port, you can plug into the Ethernet port, connect to the internet with your wireless, and protect your actually wired side with the Storm as your gateway or filtering device. IP tables are installed on it. You can set up IP tables and actually affect and reduce the attack surface. And since you have an Ethernet port, you can run an entire network behind the Storm device and essentially set the Storm device up as a firewall. Then we can configure secure remote access. And what that is, I can send a Storm device to a client. And once I send the Storm device to the client, I have them connect it to their network, a public address. I have them provide me a public address with a virtual private network, and then I can log into the Storm device, and it's essentially a node on their network. Since it has all the hacking tools and all the cool stuff on it, I can literally hack from that device and do my pen testing and assessments from my backyard. That's kind of a nice thing to do. Float around the pool and do hacking because the Storm device is on the site with the client, and I didn't have to go through airport security and go through airport security checks. So that's a good way to do it. So now we're going to look at, okay, so I can't click now, so I think I got to get my focus over on yours. So right there, and then we'll just keep rolling. Okay. And now we're going to look at how to create your own mobile testing lab. So when you look at this image here, you see we have the Storm device, we have a switch, we have a Bastion host, we have a router, we have all these different components. And what we do is we connect the Storm into our Ethernet port of that switch, and now the Storm device is part of this enterprise architecture. So you can use the Storm device as another node on your network. And that's what we're doing here. We're showing that Storm device as that node on your network. Once you have the Storm device as a node on your network, it's at layer 3. It's an IP address. It can do anything you need, and you can leverage and run all your attacking tools from that segment that the Storm device is plugged into. So the architecture I'm showing you here is an external type of threat. So we can actually take the Storm device, plug it into an external switch, have a router, either a physical router or a virtual router, depending on how you want to set it up. It's usually easiest just to set up your own virtual machine, either IP tables running for the router or however you want to do it. Then a Bastion host. I like to use pfSense, Smoothwall. Doesn't matter what you pick, it's all the same concepts, right? Then once you've done that, what you do is you add machines. So you've built an enterprise architecture, you connect your Storm device as a node on that architecture, and you just connect machines into it. And once you connect machines into it, they're part of your network. And you can do all your assessments, your testing, all your different types of things you want to do to either improve your skills or practice for that assessment or penetration test that might be coming up. You can do it all just from the actual Storm device and with one laptop and with virtual machines. That's power. So now we want to talk about the main way to do this. So how do you connect that Storm device physically into your Ethernet port and then make it part of your laptop switching or your laptop's internet connection or those types of things? Well, we have two main mechanisms we do for this. We have internet connection sharing, so we can do an internet connection sharing. And in Microsoft, once you do internet connection sharing, everybody's connected, you got internet access, and everybody can talk to each other. And we'll look at some slides on that, and we can do bridging. My preferred method is bridging. And we're going to look at both methods, and I'm actually going to do a demonstration for bridging. There's already a Storm resource in the actual resource portal for the Storm device, the Resource Center. There's already a video of how to set it up with internet connection sharing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the concepts, and then we have a video that will show you how to do the bridging. And what the bridging is, we're going to bridge it to the actual virtual switch. But first, let's talk about internet connection sharing. So when you think of internet connection sharing, You're taking your network adapter and you're telling the actual operating system, Windows in the case of what we're going to demonstrate here, but it's available in most of other operating systems as well. And what we're telling it is we're going to share that adapter's internet connection with any machine that we connect to it. And that's how we configure internet connection sharing. And what happens is when you set it up, it creates its own bridge with a DHCP server. So anybody who connects into internet connection sharing is automatically provided an IP address. So here's how you do it. You right-click on Windows, you start, and you select Network Connections. Once you select your network connections, you go in and you look at Ethernet, change network adapter options. So you're going to change the options of the network card, and you're going to tell it to go to Properties. Once you go to Properties, you're going to select Sharing, and then select Allow, and you set your physical network card as the card that you're going to share internet connection sharing with. So think about it. Your Storm device is plugged into the physical network adapter on your laptop. Once it's plugged into the physical network adapter on your laptop, all you're doing now is the operating system, Windows in this example, is going to share that connection and give internet access to the Storm device. Now remember, the Storm device can also have internet access through its wireless. So there's a lot of different things we can do here. We're just showing you another way to set up that enterprise architecture that I showed you. Now sometimes what will happen is it'll have a little bit of challenges, those types of things. So we've put here on the slide, we put some things together for you to use to make sure that your internet connection sharing is working. So you can use IP link show, IP ADDR show, ifconfig, all these different types of things you normally do to see as the image shows, we see it picks up a DHCP, gets a DHCP offer, acknowledgement, and gets an IP address. And now this device is connected into your network and connected to your laptop. It can go through the internet through your laptop. It can go to any machines that's within your laptop. So it's powerful stuff. How do you set up your VMware? Well, if you're using VMware, which as we said, we like VMware, you just go into your virtual network editor, all right? And what you do is you're going to use the bridging, otherwise known as VMnet 0, because you're going to bridge it to the physical network. So anybody that connects into the physical network is going to still be on the same network as the Storm device. And then you set up the virtual network, you use VMnet 0. All right? Now, the bridging part, you can actually let it stay at automatic, but sometimes it won't work properly. So what you do is you go into VMware's network editor and you go under the actual properties of VMnet 0 and you change it from automatic bridging to a physical bridging to your network card. So you're going to bridge it to the same network adapter and interface that you've connected the Storm to. Once you've done that, it picks up its IP address. Anything connected onto the bridge network will talk to the Storm device and vice versa. The Storm device can talk to anything on the bridge network. Now the power of this is I can have my virtual machine, I can have Megastorm, the virtual image for Megastorm, I can have my actual Storm physical device, and that's 2 nodes on my network as attack platforms. So that's the concept. So we can take this device and it's an attack platform, smaller form factor, which makes it easy to maneuver and do stuff like that, but it's an attack platform that you're actually literally using in your network, and it's actually a node on your network, and that's how we set it up. So from VMware, you edit settings, you look at your bridge settings, and make sure you're on bridge. So all we have to do is connect these machines to the bridge network, and VMnet 0, which is what the bridge network is, and they can talk. How do you test it? Get on your host and do an IP config, verify that you see the 192.168.137 addressing, and then you ping it. Now that's the one downside of this method. And the downside is Microsoft configures everybody's address at 192.168.137. Not a major problem, but it's one of those things you can have challenges with. Now, you can actually, once you ping it, verify it replies, you're good. Now remember to make sure your firewall is off when you first do your initial testing, because your firewall is on, sometimes it'll break the connection. So what we tell everybody is, try it. If it doesn't work, turn the firewall off. Now the second method I'm going to cover, and we're going to do a demonstration on here in a little while, is bridging. This is my preferred method. And the reason this is my preferred method, I control how I want my network to look. So let me give you an example. When I'm going to do a bridge connection, I'm going to take that physical adapter, just like we had before, physical adapter, but instead of actually telling Microsoft's operating system to allow people to connect to that and share the network and do internet connection sharing, I'm going to instead take a virtual switch and I'm going to bridge it to that physical adapter. This is my preferred way because by doing that, I can isolate the device better than internet connection sharing, in my opinion. So what I do is I'm going to actually select the adapter that the actual Storm is inserted into, that physical adapter. I'm going to select the virtual switch, and then I'm going to right-click them, and I'm going to bridge it, as you see here in this example that's on the slide. So when I actually select both of those adapters, in this example, my actual loopback, NP cap loopback adapter is my Ethernet adapter. Kind of doesn't make much sense, but that's just the way it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click it. Once I right-click it, you see one of my options there? My option is to bridge the connection. And that's the power here, because I'm taking those two switches, that physical network, in this case, NP cap loopback adapter, and the virtual switch, and I'm bridging them. And once I bridge them, now they can communicate across that bridge. And that's what a bridge is, works at layer 2. So now when we look at it, once I get done bridging, this is what a completed bridge looks like. So when you see here, it says enabled, bridged, for both that loopback adapter, which again is my Ethernet connection adapter, and my VMnet 12. This is why I like this. I select what virtual switch I want to use. So what I can do is, once I select that virtual switch, I control everything that actually is connected to that switch. So how do we test it? On the Storm device, we just enter ifconfig and we review the IP address. If it matches, we're great. If it doesn't match, DH client. You can type DH client to see if it matches. As I said, if it doesn't match, sometimes you're going to have to actually determine why didn't it pick up the IP address. Some common reasons: firewall. Firewall's on. The other reasons, and I see this happen all the time, we do Storm workshops, stuff like that, you have some form of endpoint protection software on there. Some of the endpoint protection software will not allow the actual bridging to take place. So there's some of the things you can look at to troubleshoot if you're having a problem connecting your device, either through internet connection sharing or through bridging, because both of them, endpoint protection, can cause some challenges with, right? Now, once we verify it's connected, we do the ifconfig on the Storm device. Now we can secure shell into it and just do an SSH. So we're going to look at that process. Well, our preferred method of doing this is PuTTY. So all we have to do is open up PuTTY. As you see here, I've got PuTTY here on the actual image. We open up PuTTY. When we open up PuTTY, we give it an IP address. We give it the IP address of the Storm device, as you're seeing there on the image. Once the Storm device IP address is there, then we connect to it. Now in this example, because the IP address is 192.168.137, what do we know? This is internet connection sharing. So in this example here, this image is internet connection sharing. Because as I said previously, in internet connection sharing, Microsoft always uses the 192.168.137 address. All right. Then we start PuTTY. We use the Storm IP, save the connection, open the connection, and you get this wonderful PuTTY security alert. This is the one challenge you have. If you physically connected it, then you know that device is what it says it is. This is that principle of trust all over again, one of the challenges we have in securing our networks. And that is, we're testing this connection to be trusted from the actual Storm device and somebody we know, and we're going to store the key. And that's what it's warning you here. It's telling you, are you sure you want to store this key of this device, because we can't validate that device. They leave it up to you to validate the device. So just be aware of that. Once we log in, as you see there, we've logged in as PuTTY. And from there, you can do anything you want for the network. You can do your scans, you can do all those different types of things that we'll discuss later. WinSCP. So since we got secure shell, maybe we want to copy files to or from the Storm device. We'll definitely do that when we get into incident response and those types of things. Well, what you can do is, once you're going to do that, you just actually use WinSCP. WinSCP connects to port 22 and uses a secure copy. So if somebody's looking at a protocol analyzer, it's encrypted. They're not going to see what it's actually doing on the network. That is, they're not going to be able to determine on the network what is actually being transferred. So they'll see the information from the three-way handshake, they'll see the exchange of keys, but they won't see the data. And that's why we use SCP. And WinSCP is just a GUI. You can do it from the command line, do it from the GUI, personal preference. Of course, when you learn it from the actual command line, then you can do it from the GUI at any time. Now, you get another certificate. So once we put in our information, we get another certificate with WinSCP, just like before. And once again, the only protection here from a man-in-the-middle attack, per se, is you knowing that what you're connecting to is actually what you're connecting to. Now, it's easy when we have the Storm device, because you have the Storm device. So you plugged it in. So you know that, yes, it is valid. It's a valid IP address. It's a valid device, because we put it in. But what about if you don't have that luxury? Welcome to the world of security. That's the challenges we have. If somebody hasn't put in some other protections for us, we trust that certificate when it pops up and we look at it, we trust that we're going to a valid site. Just like when we use HTTPS and it tells us and warns us it can't validate the site. But when we say yes, yes here or yes there, we've accepted the site for being valid. And we call that user circumvented security, which is never a good thing for security, but it's a great thing for hacking. And since we're talking about hacking concepts, just keep smiling. It's job security for us. Now, once you've entered the data, you accept that certificate and you say that it's a valid certificate, your Storm's connected. And now look at this. Remember, the Storm device, Linux, all that type of stuff, since we got Secure Shell running on it and the Secure Copy Protocol, we create a GUI, almost like an Explorer type of interface. And now all you have to do is select any file on either the Storm device or on your laptop where you connected from and drag and drop. You can drag and drop files, you can drag and drop folders, drag and drop anything you want. It's a Secure Copy Protocol. It's just like using FTP, but instead of being clear text, it's an encrypted text. And that's the main thing what we do when we do these types of things and set up our Storm device so we can perform our hacking. And that's what hacking concepts are all about. And this concludes this section.